Hi, Roselle. I got your question here, and you're right. They should never have jumped from that step to that step. I just wrote it out to sort of make sure I would give you all the proper steps. And I've got one, two, I've got three steps in between those two just to get there. And I think the average bear would probably need to do that as well. So let me go through the steps that are missing and see if I can help you out a little bit with this one, okay? I'm going to just make this diagram a wee bit smaller. Oh, I can't. Hang on. Yes, I can. Make that smaller just so I can write more on the screen. All right. So from this step here, what we need is a common denominator to put these terms together. Like on the top, we need to, if we're going to add those, we need a common denominator. So if I start with t plus 3 over t plus 4, I'm going to use t plus 4 as my common denominator. I'm going to write 1 as t plus 4 over t plus 4. Okay. So that's the top part. Now on the bottom part, I've got t plus 3 over t plus 4. And instead of writing it all in brackets squared like that, let's just write it just a wee bit different. I'm just going to, oh, what happened there? That is not the eraser at all. Hang on. Oh, now it won't let me erase my first line. No. All right. Instead of doing that, I'm going to write this squared and this squared because it makes more sense to look at it like that. It's the same thing. Plus, when I want to write 1 and use a common denominator this time, I'm going to use the t plus 4 squared denominator. And so I'm going to have t plus 4 squared over t plus 4 squared like that. Okay? So the next step that I would do with this thing is I would go t plus 3 on the top minus t plus 4. I would write that whole thing over the common denominator t plus 4. And then for the bottom part, I would write that as bracket t plus 3 all squared plus bracket t plus 4 all squared all over bracket t plus 4 all squared for a common denominator. Okay? Now, here's the part where the experience kicks in a little bit. I mean, if you've been doing these for as long as I have, you know what's going to happen next. What's going to happen next is we have a fraction here, and we have a fraction here. And when we're dividing fractions, like, say, 1/2 divided by 3/8 or whatever, we don't do that. We times, we flip it, and we multiply by the reciprocal, right? So that's what I'm going to do here because I'm dividing fractions. I'm going to actually flip this guy and multiply it by the top. So here's what it's going to look like when I do that. Just stay with me. I know it's a lot of information, but you can go back over this after if you need to as well. So here's the top fraction. And for the bottom fraction, I'm going to flip it and multiply instead of dividing it. Okay. So what would be really nice is if I could just slash this guy, and this guy, but I can't, right, because they don't match. One's a t plus 4 squared and one's a t plus 4. So what I have to actually do is change the first fraction and multiply another t plus 4 into each of those terms so that my common denominator is now t plus 4 squared, okay? And then times t plus 4 all squared over t plus 3 squared plus t plus 4 squared. We're almost there. This guy now crosses out with this guy. And when you have a look at what you've got left, now we are finally here, right? We've got t plus 4 times t plus 3. There it is, right there. Then we've got the minus t plus 4 squared. There's that part. And then on the bottom, we've got t plus 3 squared plus t plus 4 squared. And that's what the denominator says, okay? So that's how they get from step purple to step red on their solution. And like I said, it took me, what, 1, 2, 3, yeah, at least 3 steps to get there and for it to make sense. And you couldn't do that in your head. I don't see any way that you could do that in your head. So it's kind of silly for them to just skip all of that and expect you to go, oh yeah, sure, okay. But anyway, I hope that helps, and you might have to watch that again because there's a whole lot going on there just to go through it and see the individual steps that get you there, okay?